Research conducted over the past few decades shows it is impossible for students to take in and process all the information presented during a typical lecture. And yet, this is one of the primary ways middle school students are taught, especially in geometry courses. It's a tradition going back thousands of years. In the last few years, many educators have worked very hard to come up with innovative ways to teach geometry. And yet, the international comparison of math skills among 15-year-olds report shows that the US is ranked 25th in the world.
In some parts of the country, 60% of kids drop out of high school. In the Native American communities, it's 80% of kids. If we halved that number, one estimate is it would create a net gain to the US economy over 10 years of nearly $1 trillion. From an economic point of view, this is good math, isn't it?
5 symptoms that you're doing math reasoning wrong in your classroom, okay? One is a lack of initiative. Your students don't self-start. You finish your lecture block and immediately you have 5 hands going up asking you to re-explain the entire thing at their desks. Students lack perseverance. They lack retention. You find yourself re-explaining concepts 3 months later, wholesale. There's an aversion to word problems, which describes 99% of my students, and then the other 1% are eagerly looking for the formula to apply in that situation. Okay? This is really destructive. David Milch, a creator of Deadwood and other amazing TV shows, has a really good description for this. He swore off creating contemporary drama, shows set in the present day, because he saw that when people fill their mind with 4 hours a day of, for example, 2.5 Men, no disrespect, it shapes the neural pathways, he said, in such a way that they expect simple problems. He called it an impatience with irresolution. You're impatient with things that don't resolve quickly. You expect sitcom-sized problems that wrap up in 22 minutes, 3 commercial breaks, and a laugh track. And I'll put it to all of you, what you already know, that no problem we're solving is that simple. I'm very concerned about this because I'm going to retire in a world that my students will run. I'm doing bad things to my own future and well-being when I teach this way. I'm here to tell you that the way our textbooks, particularly math-adopted textbooks, teach math reasoning and patient problem solving, it's functionally equivalent to turning on 2.5 Men and calling it a day.
I could not believe that. I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm standing there and looking at these kids saying, wow, this is really working. We are looking at these kids that they're playing the games like crazy.
They were so competitive and they were enjoying what they were doing, and they wanted to continue to keep playing the game in order to beat the score, to get the better score. So this was so inspiring, I think, to us as developers that we were making such an impact, and this was only the beta version of the game.
That day when we got there, we were trying to test for retention. We were sitting in the car driving, of course, to the school and thinking, okay, so we are hoping, this was our highest hope, that maybe 20 minutes, maybe we could get students engaged in this game for 20 minutes. And some of us are saying, no, 10, maybe 15, but 20 minutes, that was the maximum we predicted that is gonna happen. Now we are standing there. After 45 minutes, we see these kids are playing. They are looking at each other. They are actually competing. One says, I have this score. The other one is that score. And one of these girls sitting over there and playing like crazy. A few students even standing behind her. And they are saying that, go, you can do it, you can do it. And we see the numbers are going higher and higher. We are looking at each other so worried. Oh my God, she's gonna break our game, but we don't want the game to break. Hopefully, it's not gonna break, but how is she doing that? And they told us, actually, she is one of the students that has done not so well in EOG. teachers were amazed that how is she doing it? How does she know all these geometry, shapes, or all interacting with the computers? Like she knows them all, which she did. At the end, when we tested her, she has comprehended everything. It is the power of the game.
When you hear educational game, you think, oh, okay, quiz game. But that's not what we wanted. We wanted something simple. So having them recognize a shape and then doing something about that, you know, that's where we started. And that was the first real mechanic that we had. And that was the first part. That's the first part of geometry, is recognizing those shapes. So if we can have them recognize those shapes, then we've got something. Now when you add a time limit to it, now they're under a little bit more tension, and now they have to figure this out before the time runs out. So now they're learning at a faster rate because they're trying to beat the clock. And so with just a couple mechanics, they're already trying to learn about shapes without even knowing it. You know, once you put a theme over that, something that people love, outer space, you know, it could be a fantasy element or a sci-fi element. Once you do that, then it's really up to the designer to make sure that all those elements work together.
Hi, I'm Marc Tucker, one of the developers for the Polyspon project. During the development process, we kept thorough documentation that included assessment and outcomes to increase the effectiveness of the learning materials. We also took notes regarding student interaction with the game and each other, and expanded upon the game by incorporating student requests and suggestions, whenever possible, to enhance replayability and engagement. We wanted to make sure that not only were the students going to learn from the game, but also that they wanted to play the game. We have developed an environment that is both fun and educational. Our goal was to help children learn faster and more efficiently while having fun in the process, which our data supports.
We have a great team here at Polyspon. We all have corporate backgrounds, and we're all deeply involved in our community. Dr. Javidi is an executive board member for the Union Symphony. Ellen teaches summer camps. I'm the vice chair of industry at IGDA Charlotte. Marc mentors high school students in game development. Dr. Javidi was recently elected executive board of the International Game Developers Association. This is a huge honor. What a great PR opportunity for connecting the Verizon Foundation, Innovate Educate, IGDA, and our Polyspon game to gain awareness for game-changing educational games.
Polyspon!